Oh, good.
Yep.
Any injury updates, or you guys look pretty healthy?
Yeah, pretty healthy. Yeah, we haven't really had anything, and it's obviously one of the goals of this weekend is to get through it without, or intact, I should say. Positive. Jaden Newt throwing bullpens, and looks like he's on track. So should see him at some point this year.
I know you've been asked this, but Michael Brazwell, what has stood out to you about him?
Yeah, everything. I think it was very clear, when he went in the portal last year that we needed, we're going to need to replace Jordan, and defense at that position is very important. And he's been everything I hoped for and more in regard to that. And what I mean by it is, as a first-year player, uses his voice on the field really well, and he's playing like an experienced player, which is great. And he makes everybody else around him better. And he's been very solid defensively, and then offensively just deserves a lot of credit. He's put in a lot of work, and we've changed a lot, and he's adapted to it and is having a lot of success.
He said when you reached out to him, you talked about nothing but just basically him at the plate, which surprised him because he, really takes a lot of pride defensively. Have you seen the growth there at the plate from, when he arrived now?
Big time. I mean, I think first off, it's credit to Michael for just being coachable. We needed to do some things differently in the weight room for him, and we did that. Coach McMillan's done a good job there. And then, that allowed him to change kind of how he moves mechanically. And then we put in a ton of work on that. And he came in with a pretty good feel for approach, but has refined that even more through what we do. And you put all of those things together along with the experience, he's made a significant jump, and really excited for everybody to see that.
With a lot of the guys who are sort of competing with that third outfield spot, like how's Jake Brown looked, and has he sort of continued that momentum since from the fall?
Yeah, so our last game was Monday. He hit one over the bleachers on top of the building on Monday night. He's had some good left-on-left at bats, driven the ball the other way. I think what's good about him is his competitive nature, and then so you have that, and you have the athleticism. Then there's just a learning curve, and with our pitching the way that it's set up, I mean, there's no break. It's like everybody can pitch at this level that's on our team, and so the reps that he's getting against quality pitching, just like everybody, freshman or fifth year senior, have taken some lumps, through the fall and leading into the season. But I like how he's responded to those, and I think I'm learning a little bit more on how to coach him through some of that just by getting to know him better. But he's doing a good job.
With the left-on-left stuff, what do you think is sort of been the key to his success there? Now, how comfortable are you having him face lefties?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I think, he'll do a nice job. He just does a good job. He's got great hand-eye, and he's got great bat speed because he's so explosive, such an explosive athlete. And when you have that combo, you make good early decisions because you're picking up the ball, and you can afford to make late decisions. That's what makes Tommy so special. That's what made Dylan so special. And I think he has some of that. Maybe not to the degree of the raw strength or power yet, but the explosive athlete to move his body, to move his bat, he can make late decisions, and that helps you with that breaking ball that's moving away from you. Can certainly react to a fastball, hit it to all parts of the field. So not a finished product by any means, and he's just got the mindset, the talent, and the work ethic to get to where he's going to need to go.
Are some of these things stuff that you saw when you first saw him hit? Because you sort of mentioned that story at the Rotary Club a few weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. It was an easy call. I knew the makeup was strong. Obviously, he's going to be a very good pitcher here too. It's just we probably need him a little more on this side right now, and so we can be slower, deliberate with that development. We'll maybe pushing at this side, but yeah, watching him last March, end of March, early April, taking 4 or 5 at bats, and just how he moved, and he's an explosive, lower half. I'm not surprised really at all.
JP moving over to second base. He almost hit for a cycle this past weekend. Last year you said he didn't have a good fall, that he didn't really, you didn't see that athlete out of him. What did you see from him this year and leading up to the season?
Again, it's a similar situation with last year's pitching staff being so good, especially while everybody's healthy. It's just not everybody's hitting 500 every weekend, and that's a good thing. It allows you to have the type of team that we had last year. So I think it's experience. I think his awareness as a hitter is really good. He'll play a little second and a little outfield today, just as we're making sure we're ready to do whatever we need to do whenever we need to do it. But he's just steady. That's what I love about him, and has a solid understanding of the game. His dad's such a good baseball guy. Their family's such a good baseball family, and he had a lot of experience the year before. And so even though he was struggling, it's one of those, I knew he would probably end up where he ended up last year. And that's just a credit to him. Just got a good heartbeat for this thing.
Ashton Larson's been playing some first base, I guess, throughout the last few weeks. What do you think allows him to play that position even if he doesn't have a ton of experience there?
He's a baseball guy. This is, there's guys that, fit baseball into their life, and then there's guys that build their life around baseball. And that's what we want all our players to be. And that's him. And nobody works harder. I think he's got a great future here. And again, just trying to open up options for the player to make a positive contribution, for our team to not be boxed into anything. And I'm impressed, to be honest with you, how quickly he's picked that up, because I don't think he'd played a lot of first base prior to us asking him to do it. And I think all the freshmen, I think it's one of the stories of the early spring here, is those guys are so much better than they were in the fall. It's almost unrecognizable. So they deserve a lot of credit for the work they put in.
Who are some of those other freshmen then?
Yeah, Ryan Kutrek, Stephen Milam. You already mentioned Brown. That's probably where I'd start. Derek Mitchell might be behind some guys just because we have good older players in the outfield. But he's going to be a great player here too. And it just wasn't a very big recruiting class, and by design, to try to get the pitching where we wanted to get the pitching. But those guys are athletic. They've improved from a strength standpoint. I think, if you were to ask me, it's not maybe writable, but the work ethic of this team and how they've made every day important. It's the way we want it to be right now. So some of the fruits of that are these guys improving. Now, does that mean somebody's jumping to the front opening day? Can't answer that yet, but very encouraging for having the type of program that I want to have here.
Are you satisfied with what you've seen from the pitching rotation so far?
Yes, and it's not totally clear where that sits, and only because we have options. And I've kind of done my initial work on the two teams we're going to play next weekend. We have it lined up where the guys that will probably start will pitch today or tomorrow, or the guys that will pitch Sunday, if we're able to play on Sunday, they would kind of move into that Sunday, Monday grouping. There's a lot of options. We can literally kind of do whatever we want in the context of what we think we need to do to win, and that's a good thing. And the best part about that is the selflessness of those guys. You take a guy like Griffin Herring, he may end up starting on the weekend, definitely. That's a real possibility. Yet when it's in my office, it's like, Coach, I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do. And that's kind of what I hope makes us along with that work piece.
Anybody sticking out to you that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Because if we bring them here, we expect them to develop into good players and pitchers. And it's just the volume of guys that I think can do it is good, and it's just going to take a little sorting out, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing versus, I don't want to go backwards, but lining, hey man, we got to, if it's a close game, the first 4 games of the year, it's like Cooper and Gervais, we're going to pitch in 3 of those 4 games, right out of the chute. We don't have to do that way, and that's a really good thing. So,
speaking of the staff, how do you think they've adjusted to working with Nieski after Wes Johnson last year, and maybe some of the differences between those two guys?
Well, I think that would make them the luckiest group of pitchers in college baseball. is how I would answer that. Totally unique situation. I think it's been good. I don't think there's no negative in either of those situations. And I think the guys that were here last year, that are here this year, will have benefited greatly from both of them. I think how I like, again, as the team, and this would apply to the pitchers, like how they're going about what they're doing. It's very mature. I don't like to use the word professional, but very mature in terms of that. And Nate really brings that dynamic, and I think it's good. I don't think anybody has gone backwards, would be my answer. I think they've all gone forwards. And sometimes that's the player growing up and doing the things that they need to do. Maybe the coach presenting things a certain way, and some of it's just experience. But real positive.
I know you don't like to show your cards too soon. Are you close to naming a Friday night guy?
No, that won't take place till after, at least. I mean, we may know, but we don't, as I sit here today. For the next few days, we'll probably have a long way to go in saying that. So, and for me, it's like that has no bearing. I think it's something for you all to write about, but it doesn't mean that pitcher is any more important. Like if it meant we got 5 wins for winning the game on Friday, it would be more important. It's just not the way that it works. And there's candidates. I mean, we literally could choose from one of 5 guys, and I don't think that's an exaggeration, and that's a good thing. And so we'll see how the next 2 days go, and then from that point, I don't think anybody that would throw Sunday would start on Friday. So I think it'll probably be decided over the next couple days.
You've been coaching for a long time. Have you ever had this many lefties in a staff before?
Maybe not numbers. It's not important to anybody around here, but in 2015 at Nevada, we could literally set our rotation if we were facing a left-handed hitting team with left-handed pitchers or right-handed hitting team with right-handed pitchers. And that was really cool, especially at a mid-major, non-power 5 deal. And, it's an Augie Garrido thing. Long time ago, left-handed pitching, left-handed hitting. And we'll always try to stick to that. And, we've been fortunate. It's the way that it's worked out. Getting, Cam through here, getting Cade through here. Cade, from an injury standpoint, he may not be here had he been hurt last year. And just having the flexibility, to have those guys it's a big deal.
You mentioned how tough it is for the pitchers to go against your hitters to go against pitchers. Is there a sense of, you're really going to start to figure out some things once you get against guys in different uniforms?
Yeah, and again, I'll credit our team. Like, that's a very normal thought. Understandable. But we have it like a saying. It's like, hey, we can understand something, but if it's not what's best for us, we can't accept it. And I'm literally like, yesterday, it's like I have to tell these guys, like, they're ready to go. Like, they've done an exceptional job in practice. Exceptional. Of making everything important. And I think they can only get better, from that situation. Like, the pitchers completely dominated the fall. I used this analogy, I think, on the radio the other day. It was like probably like the 86 Chicago Bears defense, just obliterating the offenses. That's what our fall was. I mean, our pitchers completely obliterated the hitters. Hadn't been like that, since we got back. And, a lot of good work, as I mentioned, from some guys, and really balanced play. The constants in the defense has been pretty good. The first weekend, there was some speed of the game things that, when you haven't played in 2 months, like, kind of reared their head. But we're catching ground balls, we're hitting the first baseman in the face. The outfield play has been exceptional. So that's supported the pitching, but guys are hitting mistakes. Guys are making guys throw the ball in the zone. So, been good competitive baseball. It's been a lot of fun.
You mentioned the importance of each day for this group. Is that something that is just unique to what you feel like you all have built here, or is it something that, how surprising really is that to you? Because it seems like you are pretty surprised by how serious they've taken this.
Well, it's. I don't know that I'd use the word surprised, and culture word, people throw that around. I mean, ours is a culture of work and valuing every day and improving on a daily basis, and the law of compounding interest and 10,000 hour rule and lights on culture. Like, that's all real, but it's still hard to do. And especially at this time of year, and maybe that's where the surprise comes in, it's very common to, hey, let's just get to Omaha. God, we got to play somebody else. And I'm sure they all feel that way. But I mean, we practiced for 3.5 hours yesterday, and the end of the thing is a coach pitch scrimmage, and these guys' focus on execution was what you want it to be. Now, that shows great self-discipline. The self-discipline is when the lights come on and it's opening day. Well, common opening days, everybody tries to do too much, and it's a disaster. You know what I mean? Well, can they have the same self-discipline of just focusing on their training? Can they have the same self-discipline when, you know, you're maybe not in the lineup as much as you want to be? The way guys last year, like Alex, like Hayden, like Kate Beloso did, and they were ready when their opportunities. Can you show self-discipline when you go through some difficulty and recover from failure and focus on the next play? So those are the things, like, that's the next things we have to be good at. I think it's more of just me being super impressed, you know, in that regard.
What have you seen from Hayden so far?
He's a stud. You know, it's you know, that was a great team last year, and then, you know, I'm the one guy in the program that always has to have his eye on at least the following year and how things are going to line up. And we had several guys that could have returned or gone to pro baseball. There's a few of them that went on to pro baseball that they needed to go on to pro baseball. That was what was best for them, no question about it, and didn't really try too hard to convince them to come back. I had a lot of conversations with him for a couple reasons. Number one, you know, he's been hurt a lot, and I just felt like there was more on the table for him to do here. And it got this is like, hey, you come back. This is your time, and it's clearly his time. He's one of the best hitters in the country, in my opinion, and it would obviously help our team tremendously. You know, so when I think about, you know, rallying a few guys back, Hayden, you know, Nate Ackenhausen, super important, Javen Coleman. You know, those were kind of the three guys that we really focused on, and very happy about that. He's done some great things as a leader, and you know, we got to keep moving in that direction.
With Isaac Trujillo and Jeremy McMillan, how they sort of changed the physical evaluation process, especially when it comes to really your hitters as well.
Yeah, I'll start with Isaac. Maybe not specific to that. I mean, he just has unbelievable temperament, demeanor, and knowledge as a trainer. Some guys are really smart, but they're whatever you want to call it, their bedside manner, I don't know if that's the right, it's not awesome. You know what I mean? You know, the intelligence of, okay, what's the issue and how do we address it? The knowledge base, phenomenal. And he's a super positive, you know, just good human being. It's really authentic. So guys trust him, and so they're willing to listen to him, whether it's a corrective mechanics thing that is going to help them, whether the pitchers or the hitters. He's really good at that at the pitchers. You know, I've never seen a trainer, like if a guy's arm's bothering him a little bit, you know, be able to dive in and make a little bit of an adjustment to take some of that pain away. I mean, I've had him for 4 years at Arizona, and he's done it already with a few guys here. Like he's the best. Like he's it's hard to be a great athletic trainer for baseball. He's the best. You know, and then with Coach McMillan, I think it's not just the knowledge base or the attention to detail. I think his passion or care for what he's doing to improve the player, you know, drives like the actual follow through. You know, I've seen a lot of very smart strength coaches that they don't have the follow through. You know, it's kind of the old everybody, not everybody, but most of them know what to do. They don't know how to do it, or they don't have the self-discipline to actually do it. He's got all of that. And so, yeah, that's massive program elevation, you know, what I would call it with those guys.
Coach Yeski's talked about kind of the information overload that these kids can sometimes get. How have you balanced that? Just to, you know, hey, you know, rest on, you know, your gut feeling, what go be a competitor, but also let's kind of intake all this information that wasn't available 5, 10, 15 years ago.
As coaching is about making your players good learners and presenting the information in a fashion that's going to be conducive for them, not only learning it, but being able to take it and apply it and make it skill in the game. to improve themselves or help the team win. And so that's one of the things I like about him. And, you know, it was an easy decision to bring him here. I mean, you know, just knowing what we were going to get, I just think there's a solid feel would be the word I would use on an understanding of each player and how to digest some of that stuff. And it's more of a challenge now than it's ever been for us. And like getting them to focus on the right things. And like, I mean, some players will come in with ideas and they're not wrong. Like maybe they heard from a hitting coach or, you know, somebody that's helped them develop. They're not wrong, but it's like, I'm going to bring you back to right here, right now, because this is how it's going to have relevance to you improving your performance in the game, which ultimately that's what all this should be about. And so I'm really hard, I would say, or hold the coaches accountable in that regard, that we're all doing a good job of that. And if I feel like I fall short on that, I'll fix it quickly, you know, with myself. And our job is to make the players good learners.
A couple more for Jay.
Guys like Tommy and Gage back to about 100%, you'd say.
Yeah, I think so. I think with Tommy, man, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, but he hadn't had a bat since Omaha, and we let him hit in every inning of the first inter squad, and I think he went 5 for 6 and walked a couple times. Just special hitter. Definitely I think we've done a good job with the ramp of the throwing. Like last weekend, he was making the plays and, you know, completing all the plays where we were 2 weeks ago, we weren't quite there yet. So I think that was good. In regards to jump, you know, no arm issues whatsoever, you know, so that's really good. And it's our job to be smart, you know, with that. And, you know, he's got a good future, and, you know, we want to have him build into being the best he can for us. And it's pretty simple for him. Like, you know, they all want to get drafted. They all want to make money. His is he's got to be able to go out there and pitch every week to make money. And, you know, so we want to set him up to do that. Like that's partly our job.
Is just trying to ramp him up and get him up to the innings slowly and make sure there's no setbacks with that. Is that what you're kind of trying to allude to?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do with all of them. I mean, I don't know if you noticed last weekend or if anybody was here, but you know, we started making changes in the middle of the inning with all the pitchers, so that the reliever could get used to doing that in the game, because only some guys can do that. Some guys, they have to start the inning, otherwise you're not going to be as effective. So there's that, but then it's also, I mean, we're doing that with all of them. I mean, that's just what you have to do this time of year. And I know there's a lot of coaches that are talking about trying to expand the ramp time up into the season, which I would be all for. I think that would help the injury situation in college baseball a lot.
All right. Good with Jay?
All right,
Thank
good
y'all.
to see everybody. Thanks for coming.